A 15-year-old boy whose name is Mochizuki Toya is summoned by God. The purpose of the meeting is for God to help him making amends and also in a bid to compensate him for an untimely death. God had scheduled a program in his world to carry out something entirely different, and that had nothing to do with killing anyone. Unfortunately, Toya becomes a victim of this situation and is mistakenly killed by God. In a bid to apologize to Toya, God summons him to resurrection. However, he is not to resurrect in his previous world, but in another world entirely different. Toya is surprised and extremely unsure about this. However, he seems to be calm and attentive to God's offer. God asks him to state whatever he would like him to do for him. Then Toya searches on his own and brings out a phone that is probably stuck on him from his previous world. Although a phone is not one of the materials being used nor needed in the new world he's going into, he still asks God to allow him to go with it. God affirms this and also provides him with cellular energy and magic, as he will be operating in a magical world. On hearing this, Toya is thrilled and his eyes seem like he wants to solely explore the magical world. Just before the meeting is dismissed, he asks God if he'll be allowed to communicate with those in his past world via the phone. God then responds that there is apparently nothing like such. The meeting is then dismissed as God causes Toya to fall into a deep sleep. Toya wakes up to behold another world entirely, not sure of the step to take or where to head. His phone rings immediately, indicating the caller as God. God congratulates him on his new life and also wishes him the best of luck, after which the phone call is dismissed. Toya is in deep thought as to what to do next when a cloth merchant who is on a journey stops his colt immediately to approach Toya. The stop is due to the dressing of Toya, which seems rather different from how anyone in the village dresses. He identifies his clothes as new and unique. He sought to buy them from Toya. Eventually, Toya goes with him to his clothes store and ends up emptying his new suit and underpants for the man for a token. Toya changes into something usual in the village and it appears to be less odd. He leaves the cloth store in search of a place to lodge for a while. The cloth merchant recommends an inn to him. He sets off to leave. While walking along the street, he hears the voices of two ladies from a distance and decides to find out what's going on with them. These two women are actually being attacked by a few men who want to forcefully buy a product from them. Toya emerges at the spot and sorts to buy the element that is causing the whole drama. He proposes an amount that cannot be rejected as the girl sells the antler to him immediately. However, the antler is still in the hold of one of the men as Toya destroys it. Everyone is shocked as Toya takes down the man and the others that try to attack him. He then explains that he bought the antler to save the two ladies and also insists on paying them since he had destroyed it already. They are more grateful to him for saving their lives. They introduce themselves to each other. The two girls are named Elsie Silueska and Lindsay Silueska, respectively. They are twins, and Lindsay happens to be the younger twin. They talk of heading to the Silver Moon Inn. Luckily, this is the same way that Toya is headed. They leave together. Toya lodges at the inn alongside the two ladies. They meet together after they are settled to discuss certain things. Toya points out to them that he needs a job and will not mind joining them if they have any. They explain how their job works to him, after which everyone retires to bed. Toya goes through his phone at night to read some headlines and get social information until he sleeps. The next day they are awake as they arrive at the place where they check out missions that are high paying. Toya is unable to read as he is unable to pick out any missions. Elsie finds out and decides to read it for him. They eventually settle for the mission to defeat beast ministers in the forest to the east, and the reward is 18 copper coins. They decide to go as a team with Lindsay taking the lead. They are able to complete the mission and also able to receive their rewards. Toya tells both sisters to teach him how to read and write. He also asks to be taught about how to use magic. They conduct a test for him to determine his aptitude and strength for magic. They are, however, surprised that he is able to use the 6 elements that no one in the village can use simultaneously. The highest an individual can possess is the ability to use 3 elements. Toya's situation is very different and rare. They all return to the inn as they discuss their victory and other things. A lady who works at the inn brings another lady with her to approach Toya and his friends. She introduces herself as and sorts for help in creating a recipe that ladies will love. She needs it to be added to the menu. Toya helps out with his as he makes ice cream, sorting Elsie's help with the ice. Loves the recipe and thanks them repeatedly. Toya, Elsie, and Lindsay are now teammates as they work together for rewards and coin points. They are on another mission to deliver a letter to the royal capital. They are in another village different from theirs as they have been on a journey for a few days. They decide to settle in an inn for a while. They are on a street in the village as they catch sight of a scene where a large chunk of people are gathered. They move close to see what's wrong, and they witness a lady being attacked by a few men. Toya recognizes her as a samurai. In the long run, she runs out of energy while fighting off the men as she becomes really hungry. Toya sees this and does not waste time as he helps her out immediately. Elsie and Lindsay join him immediately as they take down the men. The lady shows her gratitude as she introduces herself as Kokonoye. She still appears really hungry even during the introduction, as Toya takes her for lunch. They all crash at a restaurant to have lunch as they engage in a short session of conversation. It is in this short session of conversation that they find out that Ye is also headed to the royal capital. She says she is headed there to test her strength, while Toya and his team are headed there to deliver a letter. That makes it even as they set out to leave together. On their way, they communicate with each other. Toya is given a book that contains all the spells and magic he needs to know, so as to bring his power to life in occasional situations. He stumbles into a spell that is fixed to draw a distant object into his hand. He tries it for the first time as it fails because his focus is on a big object, and the spell only works for small objects. He tries again, this time with his mind settled, and he's able to pull it off. A while into his journey, 3 of them are attacked by wild beasts from nowhere. They did not lose ground on their part as they were also willing to fight them off mercilessly. They are able to defeat a large number of wild beasts. The evil propeller for the whole event summons more beasts. While he tries to summon the scale-bound warrior, the lizard man Toya is informed. Toya immediately casts a spell on him, causing him to fall and causing his summoning to fail. Suddenly, a girl calls for help from a short distance. They all rush to the place. Upon getting there, they see her weeping profusely, holding a man who is severely injured and also bleeding intensely. The bleeding was caused by an arrow that was shot into his heart. Toya is sad and willing to save the man. He, however, says that even if he heals the man with magic, the arrow will still be in his chest. He then thinks of something immediately. He creates an object that helps him pull out the arrow from the man's chest and then heals him immediately. They are all extremely happy as they show gratitude for what Toya has done. The girl introduces herself as Sushi Ornya Ortlinde. The man that Toya healed happened to be her bodyguard. She is a niece to the king as her father is the duke of the land they are in. After her declaration, most people bowed in respect to her position, except Toya, who did not understand the whole thing. He is corrected as he also bows in reverence. Since everyone is headed to the royal capital, they all journey together. They eventually arrive at the royal capital, the capital kingdom of Belfast, Eliphas. It is also nicknamed the City of Lakes. It is serene, and the sights are beautiful. On getting to the royal capital, the Duke welcomes them warmly and is extremely grateful to Toya for saving his daughter and her bodyguard. They sit together to dine as his daughter also joins them. The Duke apologizes to Toya for being unable to see his wife as she is blind. He explains her ordeal with sorrow, saying they have tried out all forms of magic, and that the only person who could have performed a solution is dead. The person happened to be her father. He's the only one that possesses a powerful magic like the null magic. Toya decides to try out his magic. He heals the Duke's wife to the surprise of everyone. The Duke is immediately happy and decides to reward Toya for his wonderful work. The king rewards all of them with a huge amount of money and also tells them not to hesitate to call on him if there's anything they need at all. They bid the Duke and his family farewell as they set out to return to their village. Ye says she will go with them as she is welcome to join them. They go back to the previous village they were in before heading to the royal capital. They are treading the street of the village as their attention is suddenly drawn to a girl. The girl is at one corner of the street as she seems confused and devastated as she does not know what road to take or who to talk to. Toya goes to her and asks her what's wrong, and she bursts into uncontrollable tears, telling him she has been separated from her companion. Toya listens to her ordeal with others joining him. She cries with no plan to stop, as she says that they had agreed to meet up at a place until she lost her way. Toya helps her as the person she had lost tracks or finds her immediately. The girl is happy to see her sister. It is only at this point that she tells Toya her name. She says her name is Arma. They return to Reflet village after this incident. In the village, Toya is at the inn as he provides some equipment for 2 men who seem bored at the cafe. He names the game box Shogi. The game box did make them happy but also caused a fight between them. Toya does not pay attention to this. He sought to know where his friends were as they came in just in time, drenched by the rain. They offload several packages of snacks and allocate each to its owners. Toya is asked to deliver one to the Duke against his own will. He, however, sets out with the package and his game box. The Duke's daughter enjoys the snacks and shows this in the best possible troublesome way that she can. She jumps in different directions and disturbs the peace of the meeting. Toya introduces his game box to the king as they play together. His daughter troubles Toya, telling him to give her a chance to play. Toya eventually leaves the royal capital the next morning very early. He leaves exhausted with shogi, failing to go off in his brain. That same morning, they set out on a quest to bring them rewards as usual. This time, they are headed to the old abandoned royal capital in the village. They finish off their quest by getting there, and they are able to defeat the allies against them. Instead of leaving the place, they sort of explore more as they make Toya search his mind through magic to see if there is any hidden treasure around the area. He's able to detect something as they go into the old building. Toya opens a door with his earth element magic as they are able to access a cave. They go further into the cave as they come across a large figure engulfing a red light object. Their entrance and Toya's presence seem to awake the figure. The building begins to collapse as he quickly opens a breach for everyone to come out. On getting out of the trouble, an explosion happened. They are able to defeat the large figure as they take a report of the incident to the Duke, who says he will send his officials to thoroughly investigate the area. They return to their abode. Toya visits the royal capital once more, and then this time he is needed urgently, and it is coincidental that he is available. The Duke's brother, the king, had been poisoned. As the Duke takes Toya with him, he explains that his brother, the king, has been poisoned, and he is most likely to be poisoned by nobles who oppose trade with the kingdom of Mizmidi. He states that it is a newly established kingdom whose king is a beast man. His brother has been considering an alliance with the kingdom of Mizmidi. If he passes away, the throne will be passed to his eldest daughter, Princess Yumina. This was probably orchestrated by an individual who was trying to attain political power by getting married to the princess. On getting to the palace, the chief of the palace welcomes them and says that the individual who poisoned the king has been apprehended and that she will be beheaded. The Duke shuts up, saying it will be decided by the king. He muttered a few disrespectful words at the Duke. This infuriates Toya, who casts a spell on him, causing him to fall off the stairs. They proceed to the king's room as they are said to see the king in the state. They ask to know who Toya is, but the Duke says the introduction should be left for later. Toya is to save the king immediately. He sits beside the king, places his hand on the king's face, and heals him with magic. The king is back on his feet as his family extends profound gratitude to Toya. Meanwhile, the youngest daughter of the king seems to have fallen in love with him because of his abilities, looks, and personality. She did not waste time as she tells the king and queen that she wants to marry him, which they approve of immediately. Toya is rather shocked and irritated as he feels too young for marriage. He protests as they come to the resolution to give them both 2 years to get to know each other. Toya decides to look into the poisoning case of the king as he asks to be taken to the room where the incident happened. He is able to discover and look into things with his magic. He asks one of the palace officials to summon everyone that was present, as at the time the king collapsed. Everyone is summoned, including the chief they had met earlier while entering the palace and the accused lady. He then empties some wine into a cup, from the bottle the accused lady had served into a cup, telling one of the palace officials to drink it. He confirms that it is poison-free, as he gives it to the man. The man drinks it without a doubt as nothing happens thereafter. Chief Balsa is then asked to also drink, this time from the king's cup. He hesitates as he is forced to drink it. It is later deduced that he was the culprit as he had poisoned the king's cup. The wine is not poisoned. He is punished for his actions as everyone leaves him to his fate. After Toya arrives home, God calls him to congratulate him on his engagement. He sees nothing that he should be happy about, and he ignores the congratulatory message. God tells him that he can decide to marry a number of wives he chooses to marry. He began to consider this. The next day, the king's daughter joins them as she says the king had sent her to live with them, so as to know her fiancé better. They embark on a mission with the princess. They are surprised that she wants to go and would rather prefer that she stays. She goes with them irrespective of this. She assists them as she uses her magic and summoning. They are able to kill the attacking beasts as they complete their mission and return home. Toya says he wants to learn how to summon someone from the princess, who teaches him eventually. He summons a white tiger who is recognized as a heavenly tiger. To the surprise of the princess, She is shocked, as no one has ever summoned the Heavenly Tiger the way he did. The Heavenly Tiger seeks to know if he is someone to be referenced, as it tells Toya to pass his power onto him. He does this as the tiger eventually collapses from the extreme pressure of the power infested on it. The princess is surprised as the Heavenly Tiger calls him master and also affirms wanting to work for him. To make things easier, it transforms into a small, adorable tiger which makes it look like a cat. The ladies carry it from one place to another, squeezing it and adoring it because it looks really cute. It complains about the stress, but Toya does not pay attention as the little tiger adapts to the situation. Did you enjoy this recap? If you did, kindly like this video and subscribe to our channel so we can bring you the recap of the next episodes. Until next time, do take care and stay safe.